Okay, greetings everybody. I was inspired by a friend today to make a modification to my Killer Instinct arcade machine. This is something that he wants to do himself, but I kind of already had the ability and the material to do it before him. I'm not trying to really steal his idea, but so basically this video is going to be chronicling what I did, mostly to help him in his effort to mimic what I've done, or emulate, if you want to use that word, what I've done. Now what I've done is the more expensive way to do it, but that being said, the reason I'm doing it the most expensive way is because I actually just happen to have these parts laying around. What I'm doing here is I'm adding a subwoofer system to my Killer Instinct arcade machine. And when I built my main cabinet, I actually went out and bought a 10-inch kicker competition subwoofer with a single box for it, and a power inverter to convert the 115 from the cabinet to 12 volts DC for the amplifier that powers the subwoofer. So basically I have a car audio system inside the arcade machine, and it hits like you wouldn't believe. I actually had to go through and put some clamps in and tighten some stuff down to keep everything from rattling. It hits so hard, and that's kind of with the amp almost all the way down, but it sounds phenomenal. But anyway, I'll get to that later. But basically our friend wanted to put this same type of setup in his, or situation in his cabinet, but I kind of beat him to the punch here, and like I said, this is mostly to help him out and anybody else who wants to do this. So basically what I did was I put in a 10-inch kicker competition subwoofer, a car amplifier, and an inverter to convert the 115 to 12. So let me show you exactly what it looks like. I don't have everything secure in there. I'm just going to show you, well, I don't have it secure because it's easier for me to show you what is involved with it before I secure it. So let's go ahead and walk around here to the back, and I'll try and show you as best I can how everything is working here. Okay, sorry I had to cut there. I had to get the tripod set up. But basically here's the inside of the cabinet. As you can see, there's the isolation transformer / power brick and the power supply over here on the left, and then the PCB and everything. And the way this is set up is I have this power inverter here. What this does, I got this at Radio Shack. I don't even know if they still make them. It's been almost 10 years since I bought it, but it's just a power inverter that converts the 115 from the cabinet power cabinet power wiring to a 12 volt output at 15 amps. And I think this is about $100 back when I got it, almost 10 years ago. But it outputs 12 volts. You have a positive and a negative. And when you run it to your amplifier, you're going to run the positive to the 12 volts and the remote connection, and the negative to the ground coming off of this. The positive goes to your plus 12 in your remote connection, and the negative goes to your ground. Then you should have power on your amplifier. Then of course, depending on if you have a bridged amplifier or a non-bridged, you can hook it up accordingly to your speaker. And then of course you can see the RCA's over there. Those run to the connection here for the speaker that runs up, well, to the speakers. I kept the cabinet wiring intact and went ahead and just put the positive and negative into the actual holes for the Molex and shoved it back together, and did it that way so I could just not have to cut the connections for the speaker wires. But it's a 10-inch kicker competition with a cheap old Boss Audio Systems amplifier that I got on Craigslist for 20 bucks. It works just great. So your RCAs, you have to cut them and run them into your connector here for your speaker wire. I've explained how to power everything up. The inverter will sit in here quite nicely between the power brick and the back of the cabinet once I'm done. But let me go ahead and turn the game, get the game running. And all I have to do is flip this switch, lay it down in the cabinet, put the back door on, and we're in business. Now, how I powered this up was, you can see the power cable coming out of the back of it. I just cut it and spliced it into the wiring that runs up along here up to the marquee light fixture. So the 115 is coming off the wire that runs up to the marquee light, so I don't worry about interfering with the monitor. I don't want a bunch of lines, everything going on the monitor when the speaker hits. So that's pretty much how everything is hooked up and how it hooks up and how it's all situated. So I'm going to go start the game. You can hear it running, and then I'll flip the switch on and you can hear quite a bit difference. So let me set this up here. Well, if I'm able to. There we go. Okay, starting the game.
Killer Instinct.
Okay, now turning the subwoofer on. Okay, so now I'll turn it back off. That's quite a bit of difference there. So I'm going to pause here, put the back door on, we'll play from the front side. You can hear it, how it sounds with the back door on. So one minute here. Okay, so here we are back in front of the machine. The back door is on. The machine's back against the wall with the rest of the cabinets. And I want to say again that this is the cheapest way. I'm sorry, let me rephrase. This is the more expensive or most expensive way to accomplish this, in the fact that you have to buy an actual real subwoofer and box and amplifier and everything and all that jazz, and then power inverter. But you probably can find yourself a pretty decent priced, really good set of computer speakers with the subwoofer and do something similar and get a good sound. But you'll never achieve the actual hard hitting bass that you would get with this type of setup. And I'm not really too worried about it damaging anything or shaking anything loose, or because it's not a constant beating like a car subwoofer or in a car would be. It's not a constant bass tone, so I'm not really too worried about it damaging or shaking anything loose. But I just wanted to mention that again, that you can probably go the cheaper route and you might be happy with it, but unless you do something like this, you won't get the same sounds as something like this would do. Anyway, so that being said, let's play it and you tell me how it sounds to you.
Deep thunder. Fight on. Ready.
Okay, before you say anything, I don't play with Chief Thunder. I'm no good at Killer Instinct, and I picked the wrong guy by accident. So, only person I can play this game with in any decency is Cinder or Jago. So let's try this again.
Cinder. Ready.
And I suck.
Fight on. Ready. Just two outs. Fight on. Ready. Victory! Fight on. Ready.
Goddamn, Liu Kang! Quit toe tapping me.
Game over.
Alright, well, feel free to comment. Thanks for watching.